seconds and a 16th of a mile from the wire. A dramatic finish and an absolute shocker.
The Breeders' Cup started, it was a dream. The dream has turned into reality.
They're the Super Bowl of horse racing. There's $25 million in purses.
You see every great trainer, every great jockey. You see the greatest horses in the world run. You can't beat it.
Amazing style and uniqueness of it being one of the most spectacular racing events that anybody could ever participate in.
This is unbelievable!
To win a Breeders' Cup, it's like being an Olympian.
It is something that every trainer, every jockey, every owner, every breeder, every horse wants to have on their resume.
Winning one of these races is being a part of something very special.
Are we to see history this afternoon? Yes.
This is why trainers get up every day at 4 in the morning. This is what it's all about.
This is the very best of the best, coming from all over the world, fighting for the most honor, the most glory, the biggest prizes. There is nothing like this day. It is truly exceptional, and the entire world is watching.
If you pick one day to go to the races, go to the Breeders' Cup.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lafitte Pinkai, and welcome to 30 to 1, the greatest moments in Breeders' Cup history, brought to you by the Daily Racing Form. Over the next hour, we'll look back at the spectacular moments that have helped define one of the greatest events in horse racing as we prepare for the 30th Breeders' Cup World Championships here at historic Santa Anita Park. So sit back, relax, and let's get on with the countdown. The first moment in our top 30 countdown comes from the 2002 Breeders' Cup at Arlington Park in Chicago. Storm Flag Flying, seeking to become the third generation of her family to win a Breeders' Cup race in the juvenile fillies that day.
Storm Flag Flying was a very interesting filly. I trained her grandmother and her mother. She was not easy at all to train.
As the field turns for home, Storm Flag Flying turns it on, but composure is cut loose.
Ran up to Storm Flag Flying thinking I was going to get by her.
Composure and Storm Flag Flying to slug it out for the final furlong here.
The filly passed her a little bit in the stretch.
Composure in front by a neck.
And I actually thought I had her. I really did.
Storm Flag Flying, giving her all. She is coming back. Storm Flag Flying, the heart of a champion.
Storm Flag Flying, one of probably the best 2-year-olds I've ridden, and being from generation to generation, third generation, and winning a classic race, it was incredible.
It was a great performance for both. You had about a half a length on her right there when she shoots by.
Any other horse, you win the race, you know, it just ran into a champion.
Moment 29 comes to us courtesy of an 18-year-old jockey trying to make Breeders' Cup history on two fronts. Let's head to the 2011 Breeders' Cup turf at Churchill Downs.
Joseph O'Brien, the very first time I met him, I think he was a little bit smaller than I was.
It was Joseph's first Breeders' Cup riding for his father. He was very young. But for such a young rider, I've never seen a guy so prepared for that type of race.
When they say a kid was born on a horse, he was born on a horse.
St. Nicholas Abbey with a late run. Serafina could not quicken with him, is trying to come on late, but it's St. Nicholas Abbey.
Everyone was pulling for Joseph as he came down the stretch.
St. Nicholas Abbey, Joey O'Brien for his father, Aidan O'Brien. History is made. St. Nicholas Abbey wins.
You could see the joy and that emotion of how proud he was of not only his son, but what they had just accomplished.
He's going to be the first ever father-son combination to win the Breeders' Cup, and he's the youngest jockey ever to win the Breeders' Cup.
At number 28 is the first appearance of the countdown by the king of the Breeders' Cup, Wayne Lukas. We're off to 1994 juvenile fillies at Churchill Downs, where a pair of his talented fillies battled in a stretch duel for the ages.
I'd been riding Flanders all year. She was undefeated. Just a spectacular filly, felt very good going in.
Serena's Song was only 7 to 1 in that race compared to the favoritism that Flanders went off at.
Serena's Song and her mate, Flanders, dueling together down the back stretch.
The amazing thing was they go from the 5/8 pole all the way to the wire.
Flanders on the inside, Serena's Song giving their all as they come down to the line.
Serena's Song might have gotten in front of me for just a little bit. Flanders fought back.
A spellbinding stretch run. Flanders, Serena's Song. Flanders looks like she got her
Flanders won by about a long nose, half a head.
Well, this was one of the really great filly races.
Coming in at number 27, English racing legend Lester Piggott leaves his mark on the Breeders' Cup.
Lester Piggott is one of the greatest riders of all time. He's one of my idols.
And at the 1990 World Championships at Belmont Park, the 54-year-old came out of retirement to ride Royal Academy in the Breeders' Cup Mile, seeking to become the oldest jockey ever to win a Breeders' Cup race.
Hey, and they're off. Royal Academy is thundering down the center of the turf course. Lester Piggott flailing away.
He was an incredibly popular rider. I remember the British journalists yelling, "Come on, Lester! Come on, Lester!"
Here's the wire. Head bobbing finish. Royal Academy does it. And the living legend out of retirement pulls off the upset here.
To be able to ride in any kind of race at the age of 54 is astonishing. Just goes to show you what a terrific race rider and athlete Lester Piggott was.
The most powerful tool in handicapping just got better. Introducing the new DRF Formulator. Easier to use, faster, and more powerful. A new design makes it easy to find and use all of Formulator's powerful features. Search car.
The General has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. Okay, let's go for a ride.
Affordable car insurance from the General. Get an anonymous free quote and choose your due date. For a great low rate you can get online, go to the General and save some time.
Number 26 of our top 30 moments features jockey Julie Krone at the 2003 Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. All eyes were upon Julie, on favorite Half Bridled, and the juvenile fillies as she attempted to become the first woman to ever win a Breeders' Cup race.
It's so funny. Julie's this little tiny girl, right? Little tiny person. And Half Bridled was huge. She was so big.
The first time I ever went to get on her, I couldn't even reach her mane.
We drew for the race. We ended up with post position 14.
Half Bridled is the favorite with the 14 post. Going to be tough.
Yeah, that'll be very difficult to win from there.
And they're off. And Julie Krone has Half Bridled right there in the middle of the pack.
I just kept saying, "Ho, girl. Ho, mama, easy, girl." And then all around me, and I keep hearing, "Come on, Pat." Like they're already encouraging the horses. And I was thinking, oh, this is so nice.
Down to the final 100 yards. Half Bridled in front, and Half Bridled is pulling away. Victory USA, a shadow giving futile chase under the line. It's Half Bridled.
Julie Krone, the first female rider to win a Breeders' Cup race. That was an historic day for Breeders' Cup.
It didn't matter female, male, or where she came from. If she came from the moon, she was great. Winning the Breeders' Cup was just icing on the cake.
It was like one of the best and biggest moments in my whole career. It was a pretty monumental day for female athletes.
At moment number 25, the Super Filly, Azeri, puts on a show at the 2002 Distaff at Arlington Park in Chicago.
Going into the Distaff that year, Azeri had won 9 times in 10 starts.
And they're off.
Azeri was the best female runner in probably the world at that time.
Azeri bounces right out on the lead. Azeri leading the way. Azeri's pulling away to get to the Distaff champion.
She won the Distaff so impressively and ended up making her horse of the year.
At the time, I thought, wow, one of the greatest, if not the greatest filly I've ever ridden.
Coming in at number 24, Street Sense dazzles against a talented field in the 2006 Juvenile at Churchill Downs.
Street Sense came into the race 15-1. He wasn't, you know, the even money favorite.
We had a bond. There was nothing in the world I couldn't do with this horse.
On alongside of those two now, here comes Great Hunter.
And I just squeezed on him, and he got through on the fence so fast, it was unbelievable.
Street Sense has gone well clear as they come for home now.
He came up so quickly. Looked like Circular Key was going to take the lead, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, where'd Street Sense come from?
And it's going to be Street Sense.
I've never seen a horse finish in a two-year-old juvenile race like he did. This horse just shot out of nowhere.
Street Sense could not have been more impressive. He romps.
I shook my hand, you know, I knew he was the one that was going to go to the Derby.
Street Sense wins the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and then goes on to win the Kentucky Derby. No horse had ever done that before. But that's how stars are made at the Breeders' Cup.
Moment number 23 spotlights the most unlikely champion in Breeders' Cup history, courtesy of a French long shot named Arcong. We head to Santa Anita for the '93 Classic.
No one in their wildest dreams ever thought that that horse had a chance.
Never heard of the horse. So I was dependent upon the trainer to tell me how this horse would run. So I walked into the paddock. They spoke no English, all French. He says, good luck. You know, so that's really all I knew about Arcong was good luck. And my thought was, at 99-1, let me just kind of finish with the group and I'll be happy.
And they're off.
As the race progressed, Arcong was steadily making up ground. I thought, wow, you know, maybe I'll be in the middle of the pack here.
Arcong is coming in between horses, and it's still Bertrando with an onslaught of challengers.
I'm watching this horse come by me on my outside, and I'm like, who is that? All I knew it was Jerry Bailey.
Here comes Arcong, a huge upset looming here.
Bertrando was struggling on the lead in the middle of the stretch, and I knew I could win it.
Arcong comes flying on the outside, and he runs by Bertrando.
That's Arcong. That's the horse who had no chance in this race.
Here is Arcong to win it in an absolute shocker.
What did you know about this horse, Jerry?
I couldn't even understand the instructions in the paddock, you know?
Arcong was the most unlikely of winners.
Number 22 of our top 30 moments features the Breeders' Cup version of David and Goliath. Let's head all the way back to 1986 for the turf.
We're here to see Dancing Brave, supposed to be the horse of the world.
Everybody was talking about Dancing Brave, but I was riding a great horse named Theatrical. There was a good 3-year-old named Manila.
The older he got and the longer the races seemed like the better he got.
And they're off. As the field turns for home, Theatrical and Estropod matching strides, Theatrical by a head.
I make the lead. I'm going on the victory.
They're coming to the wire, and it's Theatrical.
I'm smiling to myself, and all of a sudden, a horse comes and nails me on the outside.
Manila coming after him. Manila on the outside, and yes, Manila gets there.
And all I can say is hats off and respect. The acceleration that Manila showed that day is something I've only seen one time in my career. It happened to be that day.
In those days, the European horses mostly dominated the long-distance races. To win, it was a great thing for an American-developed horse.
Up next at moment number 21, female phenom Royal Delta looks to win back-to-back distaffs heading into the 2012 Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita.
Royal Delta was a defending champion, so, I mean, she was a lot of high hopes on her.
And they're off.
Oh, she broke so well, she broke in front of the speed horses.
What a change of events here. Royal Delta's on top.
What a lot of people didn't expect was for me to go to the lead.
She was cruising down the backside, and nobody was good enough to catch her. She just galloped him to death.
Can Royal Delta hold on? Royal Delta, my Miss Aurelia, here is a champion again. Royal Delta has won.
They expected her to win, but not to go to the lead and do it.
She's the queen of racing right now and probably for a long time.
When she fires her A race, I'm not too sure there's any Ophelia mare in the country that can beat her.
Predict the perfect order of finish for the top 10 horses in this year's Breeders' Cup Classic, and you could take home $1 million. Register now at milliondollarfinish.com.
What do you want to get done today? Want to take the loader off? Bing, bang, boom. Need to connect a mower deck? Oh, look, you just did. The one family subcompact tractor with dozens of attachments, only from John Deere. Now, how can you top that tomorrow? That's how we run, and nothing runs like a Deere. John Deere is a proud sponsor of the Breeders' Cup.
This is the NBC Sports Network, NBCSN.
For your local Ford dealers, that's a huge deal sales event.
Banking to learn more.
Moment number 20 features resilient European champion Ouija Board and her incredible ability to shine on the bright stage that is the Breeders' Cup.
She was a globe-trotting filly. They would take her all over the world to run in major races. But the Breeders' Cup was always a big focal point of her campaign.
Ouija Board, and Karen Fallon to win the filly and mare turf.
Ouija board wins in 04, comes back second in 05, and then wins in 06.
This is another scintillating effort from the true superstar Ouija board.
Ouija board showed us that Breeders' Cup is an international event. You know, the best from Europe competing against the best from the U.S., and she brought her game.
Number 19 of our top 30 moments takes us to the 1990 Sprint at Belmont Park, where one of the strangest finishes in Breeders' Cup history was about to take place.
Safely Kept was in front and turned it home, and Desjure, the fastest sprinter from Europe, is running up alongside of her. They get to the 8th pole, and Desjure starts to put himself in front.
And it is Desjure who forges to the front.
All of a sudden, he comes to the shadow that was cast by the grandstand.
And Desjure took a bad step.
Announcer Tom Durkin actually said that Desjure took a bad step, but in fact, he jumped a shadow. You never see that in horse racing.
He leaped all the way up in the air, jumped it, landed comfortably, but lost all the momentum and Safely Kept came back on and beat him.
The shadow on the track cost Desjure the victory.
Up next is moment number 18, and for that we travel back to 1984 at Hollywood Park for the very first Breeders' Cup race.
When you look around at the crowd, you see people like Sinatra, Cary Grant, Liz Taylor.
It is the most extraordinary day in the history of the sport. It's like having all 7 games of a World Series on a single afternoon, and we have something for everyone.
They come on the track for the very first Breeders' Cup, and it turned out to be a terrific field. Chiefs Crown, Spend a Buck, Tank's Prospect, the anticipation, what's going to happen, was so exciting.
And they're off. And here comes the favorite, Chiefs Crown, and he's flying on the outside.
It turned out to be a terrific race.
And a champion is crowned. It's Chiefs Crown.
Chiefs Crown won the race, and he was ridden by Don Macbeth, who tragically passed away a few years later, but was a great rider of that era.
Don Macbeth was a really good friend of mine. He was actually the first Breeders' Cup winner in history. He wouldn't get to fulfill a career because of his illness and because of his early death. So, to me, that's a special place in my heart, that particular race, that particular year.
Moment number 17 takes us to the 1998 Breeders' Cup at Churchill Downs, where one of the greatest fields of all time assembled to lock horns in the Classic.
We had a Skip Away, Swain, Victory Gallop, Coronado's Quest, and it was just an incredible field of very well-talented horses.
I don't know that I've been in a gate with that many horses that were contenders.
This is the one that everybody has been waiting for. I think the best Classic field ever assembled.
And they're off. Silver Charm coming with a bull rally on the far outside.
Here we've got Silver Charm surging to the lead. Swain looms up on his outside.
Coronado's Quest, Silver Charm, and Swain, the 3 of them.
Frankie drifted way out in the middle of the racetrack, almost where the photographers stand.
Silver Charm loved to get into a dogfight, so Gary Stevens just kind of steering him to the outside, but kind of caught in no man's land.
I was right in behind him when that happened. It was like the party in the Red Sea.
Here comes Awesome again, who's flying in between horses. A wild finish to the Classic.
I had ample room to run down the middle of the racetrack.
Awesome again has won.
I'll never forget, it was such a surreal moment. Pat Day looked like a genius. It was just a brilliant ride.
Number 16 of our top 30 moments takes us to Santa Anita for the 1986 Distaff and a date with the Iron Lady.
Lady Secret, they called her the Iron Lady. This was a daughter of the great Secretariat.
Lady Secret looked about as different from Secretariat as I do. Gray, not particularly attractive, but man, he passed on his will to win.
We decided that if she would run in that race and win it definitively, that she had a chance to be Horse of the Year.
They're in the gate, and they're off.
She would leave the gate with her ears down. She would run hard until she got away from the horses.
Pat Day is nursing Lady Secret on a 5.5 length lead.
She ran every time. She met everybody, showed up every time.
She ran on down to the wire and won quite handily.
Lady Secret, another flawless performance.
She was an Iron Lady.
Up next at number 15, we head to Churchill Downs for the 1988 Classic, where America's Horse looked to secure Horse of the Year honors.
The 88 Breeders' Cup Classic is referred to as a midnight classic, and it really was.
It was in the dark. You couldn't see anything.
And under the cover of night, an all-star field sought to stop the mighty Ali Sheba.
The horse I most feared was Seeking the Gold.
Seeking the Goal was a very, very good horse, and every time we ran him, he gave us everything he had.
And they're off. Ali Sheba begins to roll now. He's making his move as they round the far turn.
We weren't sure if he was going to like the mud or not, but it turned out that he did.
As the field comes to the top of the stretch, Ali Sheba set down for the drive. Personal flag is moving through an opening toward the rail. Ali Sheba is right there.
We made a big run at him coming off the turn.
And on the outside, seeking the gold. Ali Sheba with the short lead. He's unyielding.
It appeared that Seeking the Gold was going to go by us, but Ali Sheba always had a big heart.
Seeking the gold, a final move as they come to the wire. And Ali Sheba, America's horse, has done it.
Ali Sheba found enough resolve to hold off Seeking the Gold in the last 100 yards. It was so exciting when I got back to the winner's circle. There was a group of people behind the winner's circle holding up this big sign, Ali Sheba for president. That's how popular he was. And he ended up winning Horse of the Year because of that race.
It sort of had a mind of its own right from the beginning. We saw how
For moment number 14, we remember the 1995 distaff at Belmont Park, where trainer Shug McGaughey saddled a pair for the Phipps stable in Heavenly Prize and Inside Information.
With Inside Information and Heavenly Prize, we wanted to have the best chance to win a Breeders' Cup race.
What a lot of people didn't realize was Inside Information absolutely loved the mud. A lot of rain the night before, and I was just thinking, wow, this could be something special.
And they're off. And Inside Information has come through to take the lead. 5 furlongs out.
I was on Serena's song, and I'm thinking he's going way too fast.
It is Inside Information who turns for home, cruising on a 2.5 length lead.
Way too fast. She's going to come back.
Inside Information turning it into a runaway.
I knew she was going to win. It was just a matter of how far I actually wanted to win by.
Inside Information. Oh, look at this. A colossal victory. Oh, my.
She went on to win by the largest margin of victory in the Breeders' Cup still to this day.
I was surprised at how well she dominated. I think I probably underestimated her, that I never maybe really knew how good she really was.
Moment number 13 takes us to the 2003 Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita, where trainer Richard Mandella was preparing to experience one of the most memorable days in the history of the sport.
It's half final of filly champion.
First, he won the juvenile fillies.
And it's going to be action this day.
Then, long shot action this day captured the juvenile.
Here's the wire. Photo finish.
And things got even better when Johar won the turf in the only dead heat in Breeders' Cup history.
You got to feel pretty daggone good right now. I'm having a good day.
And they're off.
I got back just in time to get the saddle on Pleasantly Perfect.
Pleasantly Perfect rolls up on the outside.
I thought, there's no way we can have enough luck to win another race here.
And they're coming down to the finish, and it is Pleasantly Perfect. Man, oh man, what a day.
We all have an appreciation how hard it is to win one Breeders' Cup. To win 4 in your lifetime is an amazing accomplishment, but to win 4 in a day, it's unbelievable.
That was the career-defining moment for him. The greatest training feat on a single day by a trainer in Breeders' Cup history.
Just to be part of that and to feel that energy made the whole day like so magical and fun.
The movie Let It Ride. Richard Dreyfuss said, "I'm having a nice day." He didn't know what a nice day was.
Number 12 showcases French superhorse Miesque, securing her rightful place amongst Breeders' Cup champions. Let's travel back to the 1988 mile at Churchill Downs.
Miesque was one of the best milers I've ever seen.
And they're off. And here comes the French filly, Miesque, charging hard on the outside.
She had this great acceleration.
Miesque is charging hard to take the lead now.
As soon as she turned into the stretch, she would just kick away.
She's looking for back-to-back wins in the Breeders' Cup mile, pulling away impressively here. Miesque has won it.
Miesque became the first horse to win 2 Breeders' Cup races. Miesque was as good as they got.
Moment number 11 comes to us from historic Hollywood Park in the 1987 Breeders' Cup Classic, where two Kentucky Derby winners would lock horns in a finish for the ages. 1986 Derby winner Ferdinand going mano a mano with the 87 winner Ali Sheba.
Ali Sheba was the best horse I ever got to throw a leg over.
He could do things you couldn't believe.
Ferdinand was a very talented colt. He was very well bred, and he won the Derby in 1986 with the legendary Hall of Fame jockey Bill Shoemaker, and he's trained by Charlie Whittingham.
Bill Shoemaker riding for Charlie Whittingham. It's Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio, you know, batting next to each other. I mean, what an unbelievable Hall of Fame 1-2 punch.
And they're off. They're at the quarter pole here at Hollywood Park. Ferdinand and Ali Sheba coming on from the outside. They're less than a furlong out. Ferdinand right there. Ali Sheba on the outside.
I was flying down to the stretch, and I thought I was going to catch him.
Ferdinand, Judge Angelucci on the outside. Ali Sheba. Ferdinand has the lead. Ali Sheba, a final surge.
And when I got to Ferdinand, I thought I was going to run right by. But Ferdinand kind of rebroke a little bit, and Shoe always had something left. He had a knack of saving horse. And then we went ding-dong to the wire.
The two Derby winners hit the wire together. Ferdinand and Ali Sheba in a dramatic photo finish.
The placing judges would take several minutes looking at the photo finish before declaring the winner.
It is official. Ferdinand the winner and Bill Shoemaker and Charlie Whittingham.
Anytime you lose a Breeders' Cup race when you finish second, it's kind of devastating. But it's even more so when you lose by that far. I kept going over and over in my head, what could I have done differently? What should I have done in order to get past Ferdinand when I needed to? The easiest way to get over a loss like that would be knowing that I was beaten by the best. Shoemaker was the best, and Charlie Whittingham was the greatest trainer I ever rode for, so I took solace in that. But it took me a year to get over that loss, though.
Coming in at number 10, we travel to Belmont Park for the 1995 Classic, where the miraculous Cigar looked to put the finishing touch on an undefeated season.
Cigar was probably one of the best horses I've ever had in training.
He was as much of a household name to the layperson for horse racing as any horse I think that could be in the modern era. There was a lot of anxiety because it rained, it was a muddy track, something that he had never proven himself over.
Cigar in quest of the perfect season, and they're off. And Cigar wants to go to the lead, but Jerry Bailey says no.
Cigar wanted, left to his own devices, to be on the lead the entire journey. It was all I could do to hold him off of the lead. He was pulling on the reins so hard, I lost the feeling in my fingers.
Cigar! Cigar makes his move, and he sweeps to the lead with a dramatic rush, and Jerry Bailey turns him loose.
Really, my arms just gave out from holding him.
A quarter of a mile between Cigar and a perfect season, and here he is, the unconquerable, invincible, unbeatable Cigar!
All I could do was put up the number one, because to me, Cigar was truly number one.
Cigar's Breeders' Cup win was very emotional. It made him 10 for 10. It made him my first Breeders' Cup Classic winner.
Cigar was the greatest horse I ever rode, and probably the greatest horse a lot of people ever saw run.
Be sure to tune in to NBCSN's coverage of the Breeders' Cup beginning Friday, November 1st at 4 Eastern. Coverage concludes on NBC Saturday, November 2nd from 8 to 9 Eastern with the Breeders' Cup Classic live on NBC.
FOE.TV.
The number 9 moment of our top 30 countdown once again shines a spotlight on the global reach of the Breeders' Cup. In the 1991 Juvenile, a European colt named Arazi captivated the racing world by turning in one of the Breeders' Cup's single greatest performances.
1991, there was a horse coming over from France that we had heard was something pretty phenomenal.
Arazi, the European star, is a dozen lengths from the front.
I saw this streak come by me.
Arazi hits his best stride, and there goes the European star.
That's way too early to be moving a horse.
And Arazi runs right by him. Arazi with a dramatic move.
He's going so fast that inertia takes him wide off the turn.
It was one of the most impressive bursts of speed I've ever seen.
Here indeed is a superstar.
That was the best two-year-old effort I've ever seen.
Moment number 8 comes to us courtesy of a European lady whose excellence on the track would leave an indelible mark on the Breeders' Cup.
I love Goldakova. She was just my favorite.
Goldakova comes over for the Breeders' Cup Mile the first time in 2008.
But Goldakova goes through at the rail, and look at the acceleration from Goldakova as she bursts forward.
The thing that we saw in that race was this incredible acceleration that she had.
And what a brilliant filly is this! Goldakova in an awesome effort.
Then, in the 2009 mile, Goldakova would once again dazzle with her stretch running prowess.
Goldakova and Olivia Pallier win it again.
After notching back-to-back wins in the mile, Goldakova would return to the 2010 Breeders' Cup at Churchill Downs, looking to rewrite history.
Goldakova's unwinding her run in the center of the track. Goldakova's let loose, she's flying.
Goldakova's groom was screaming and hollering.
But Goldakova's catching with each and every stride. Are we to see history this afternoon?
He's yelling, allez, allez, saying go, go.
Goldakova, a true champion. 3 Breeders' Cup wins.
When you watch the groom of Goldakova, there's nothing more exciting in the world to him, ever in his life.
Goldakova stands alone as the only 3-time winner to this point of a Breeders' Cup race, but all 3 of those wins came against the boys. So that, to me, makes it even more special.
And she'll go down as one of our greatest champions.
The number 7 moment takes us all the way back to 1984, to the inaugural Breeders' Cup Classic at Hollywood Park, a finish that would set the bar for every ensuing Breeders' Cup.
It was an all-star cast of horses. Desert Wine, Gate Dancer, Slew of Gold, and of course Wild Again. I mean, Wild Again was a good, solid horse, but I personally thought that he was a bit overmatched.
And they're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and Wild Again emerges with the lead.
All the way up the backside, I'm trying to get him to calm down, settle down.
And Slew of Gold now. He's charging on the outside up to engage the leader, Wild Again.
Slew of Gold made a big move, come up on the outside of me, and I thought, well, that's it. Wild Again, I'm throwing the towel, and, you know, this is as far as we go.
On the inside, Wild Again is game, and he's holding on to the lead by a head.
He absolutely refused to give up.
Here comes Gate Dancer on the outside.
Now it's myself on the inside, Slew of Gold in the middle, Gate Dancer on the outside.
What a finish! Wild Again, Gate Dancer, Slew of Gold in between them. Those 3 in a dramatic finish, and here's the wire. Wild Again does it.
I wasn't real sure if I'd even won the race.
Wild Again has just held on to win it, but you can tell that these horses were bouncing off each other the whole way down the stretch. The inquiry sign goes up, and it takes the stewards a long time. But in the end, they decided to leave Wild Again in first.
Hallelujah! Hello, Mom and Dad and everybody else out there.
I don't believe a Hollywood scriptwriter could have written a better finish to a great day, and I think it really got the Breeders' Cup off the ground.
Number 6 of our top 30 moments showcases the incredible resurgence of a lightly raced horse named De Haas. Let's head back to the 1998 mile at Churchill Downs.
De Haas was a very good grass miler, and the training job that Michael Dickinson did with him, with only 1 race under his belt in 2 years' time, was a phenomenal feat.
96 winner De Haas is running 6 toward the rails.
We call him the mad genius. He does things in such an unorthodox way for a trainer, but he is so effective.
It is De Haas and Hawksley Hill. Hawksley Hill forges short lead.
You see De Haas get past this stretch, and if you follow racing at all, you know that horse is finished, not De Haas.
De Haas is game as they come, coming down to the line. Spine Tingle stretch line. De Haas comes back. Unbelievable.
One race in 2 years, and having so prepared for that race, that was definitely one of the special ones.
Oh my! This is the greatest comeback since Lazarus.
Moment number 5 recounts the epic finishes of unlikely champion Tiznow. Let's head back to the 2000 Classic at Churchill Downs.
Tiznow was a very late developing 3-year-old.
He was pretty difficult to train. He was kind of a big dummy, gangly colt.
He was a maiden in the spring. He wasn't even a horse that was considered for races like the Triple Crown. But by the end of the year, he was good enough to beat the best horses in the world.
Giants Causeway and Tiznow battling head-to-head. A heart-pounding, pulsating stretch drive, and Tiznow prevails. Tiznow has won it by a nose.
Now we come to the 2001 Breeders' Cup. It was only weeks after the 9/11 tragedy. It was really the first major sporting event that had happened following that incident.
The mood was somber. People were still in a great deal of fear after what happened with the World Trade Center. Once the races began, the atmosphere changed, got their mind off the tragedy for at least a day.
Tiznow had become a really sour horse in terms of his training.
Something was going on in his head. Now here we are on Saturday, back at Belmont Park. I didn't really know which Tiznow was going to show up.
The Classic, and they're off.
Tiznow broke alertly, and he placed himself up there third or fourth. Going down the backside, I felt like I had a lot of horse.
Tiznow looms in second. Saki is there on the outside.
All of a sudden, I could hear a horse flying on my outside, and it was Frankie Dettori on Saki, the best horse in Europe.
Here comes the arc winner, Saki, and he storms to the lead. Tiznow is battling on.
At the 16th hole, I thought, well, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I'm just going to tap him one time.
Tiznow fights on.
And he responded, and I said, oh, that's the Tiznow I love. There we go.
Here's the wire, desperately close. Tiznow wins it for America.
And I raised up and heard Tom Durkin scream, Tiznow wins it for America. The place went nuts.
Racing is an uplifting thing. I think people were looking for something to take a hold of, to pick up their spirit.
God bless Tiznow, and God bless the heroes, the New York heroes. That's what the Breeders' Cup's all about.
Pre-order your copy of 30 to 1, which includes bonus coverage of this year's Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita. The DVD will also include all 30 moments from gate to wire. Go to BreedersCupShop.com to order today.
Why is Speightstown the hottest sire in town? Let's talk facts. Yeah, he knows.
13, now available on demand. Same day as Blu-ray and DVD.
Order movies on demand on Optimum TV, channel 500.
The number 4 moment in Breeders' Cup history takes us to Gulfstream Park in South Florida for the 1989 Classic, a showdown for the ages between two of the most intense rivals in the history of horse racing.
Easy Goer, Sunday Silence. Frazier, Ali.
Sunday won the Derby, and then he came back and beat Easy Goer in the Preakness by the slimmest of margins. And then Easy Goer just blasted Sunday Silence at Belmont Park. And then they continued that rivalry all the way to Florida in the biggest race of the year, the Breeders' Cup Classic.
They were clearly the two best three-year-olds of that generation.
And they're off.
Easy Goer left the gate in good form.
Sunday Silence poised on the outside third.
And as we approached the half-mile pole, I'm wondering about the big red horse. When's he coming? So I took a little peek under my right elbow, and I saw 2 chestnut legs. And I thought, uh-oh, he's here already.
Sunday Silence bracing for the oncoming power of Easy Goer, who's right at his neck, and the stage is set.
McCarran opened up around the turn, which Sunday Silence got around turns better than Easy Goer did.
Easy Goer is set down, and he's put to a fierce drive.
I went to work on him, changing holds.
Sunday Silence surges to the front.
I was screaming, come on, Sunday, come on. Here comes the wire, keep going. And then Tom Durkin screamed,
Easy Goer with one final acceleration, and Sunday Silence holds on, and he wins by a desperate neck.
It was so exciting, so exhilarating, and fortunately the wire came up quick enough, and Sunday was able to hang on by a neck.
It was the end of a great rivalry between 2 great horses.
I was very, very proud and extremely happy walking into the winner's circle that day. It was just a great event for me.
Coming in at number 3, superstar Personal Ensign battles to the end, looking to place the crown jewel on her incredible career and achieve heights that hadn't been reached in over 80 years.
We went to the Breeders' Cup with high anticipation. I never won a Breeders' Cup race.
Personal Ensign comes into the Breeders' Cup Distaff that year, undefeated, trying to win her 13th straight race, but the conditions are awful that day. It's gray, it's raining. She's in against the Derby winner, Winning Colors, who had beaten the boys earlier that year.
Winning Colors, probably the best filly that I ever rode.
And they're up, and the Derby winner is loose on the lead.
Winning Colors got on an easy lead, and I thought we were hopelessly beat.
Personal Ensign is 5 lengths off the lead of Winning Colors, who turns for home.
I had a solid lead. Personal Ensign, there was no sign of her.
I thought were going to upset one of the great mares in Personal Ensign.
Here comes Personal Ensign, unleashing a furious one on the outside.
Winning colors started to tire, and I was just saying, come on, finish line, come on, finish line.
There was never a point in the stretch run you thought, she's got a shot at getting there.
Personal Ensign, a 1/16th of a mile from the wire. Winning colors is there. Personal Ensign, a dramatic finish, and here is the wire, and it is Personal Ensign there.
I had no clue who had won the race. It was like that. I looked over at Randy, and he was like celebrating. Sure enough, Personal Ensign won it.
There's one in a million. You can get one like her, and she's the one.
That made her 13 for 13, and she's the first champion to be retired, undefeated.
She sails off into the sunset as one of the greatest of all time.
It was a heartbreak, but this one is one for the ages.
The number 2 moment comes courtesy of the queen of the Breeders' Cup, Zenyatta. With the story ripped from a Hollywood script, Zenyatta came out of retirement to defend her 2009 Classic triumph and extend her record to 20-0. We head to the 2010 Classic under the lights at Churchill Downs.
Zenyatta was probably at the time America's most spectacular sports star.
She was very unique, and people actually became fans of a horse.
So people came out in droves to see if she would retire undefeated.
Zenyatta! Zenyatta!
She was unbeaten. Her last time that she's going to race, and this is it. It was the most pressure that I had ever felt, magnified times 10.
It was pretty cold that night. That was a little bit of a concern.
There's the roar from the Churchill Downs crowd as the field is sent on their way, and Zenyatta is dead last.
When the gate opened, she dropped way back.
They go down the backstretch, and Zenyatta's got to be a good 18, 20 lengths off the leader.
And then the race broke into 2 packs, and she was way back behind those. So I think that she didn't take into account the spacing between those 2 gaps.
And Zenyatta is dead last.
I didn't think that Zenyatta had a prayer to even hit the board.
Mike Smith trying to find somewhere to run. They bunching up at the top of the lane now, though.
She started making this great move around the turn.
Zenyatta is now coming with her run. Blame on the inside. Zenyatta on the outside, looking at Lucky. Blame, Zenyatta, Zenyatta, Zenyatta is flying. Blame trying to hold on. Blame and Zenyatta. The lane has won it ahead.
You couldn't hear a pin drop. Everybody was just in disbelief, that she got beat. But, my hat's off to Blame. What a tremendous race he ran. I mean, he truly did. And you had to run that kind of race to beat that kind of a mare. It was probably the saddest day of my life, really. To get beat, a matter of inches was just, I can't even put it into words, to be honest with you.
Did you ever prepare yourself for her losing a race?
This is the first time it's happened. She ran her heart out today, ran a great race, and congratulations to Blame.
The storybook is all set to go out on a winning note and undefeated, and you come up that short. It's just it's heartbreaking.
The fact that she technically didn't win meant nothing to me and the people I was with. She was by far the greatest racehorse.
In defeat might have been her greatest race.
We'll be right back with the number 1 moment in Breeders' Cup history.
New at Ashford for 2014.
Cup coverage begins tomorrow at 4 on the NBC Sports Network and continues Saturday at 8 on NBC.
And now for our number 1 moment. Let's head to the 2009 Classic at Santa Anita, the site of Zenyatta's stretch drive for the ages.
She had won the 2008 Ladies Classic.
Zenyatta's going to come home to score. Undoubtedly now a living legend.
2009 Breeders' Cup Classic, the connections of Zenyatta decide to run her against the boys.
We're going up against, the greatest males in the world, really, at the time.
Zenyatta was training very well for the race. We were ready for the Classic.
She was such a popular horse, especially so in Southern California. That was her home fan base.
Fields sent on their way in the a Breeders' Cup Classic. Zenyatta's dead last early.
She broke slowly, which is the way she was, but I thought, oh boy, you know, what's going to happen here?
Zenyatta is still a good 10-11 off the leaders.
And then she starts getting in a rhythm. For a distance horse, you want to see them hit that stride, get in their little rhythm. Now she comes around the turn and she's sort of blocked. There's no place to go. I don't know how Mike did it, but she made a little sideways move, jumped like 2 lanes over, and then started to really level off and start coming.
Zenyatta coming flying on the grandstand side. Gio Ponti on the inside. Summerbird is right there. This is unbelievable. Zenyatta, what a performance. Still unbeaten under Mike Smith.
When she hit the wire, the whole place erupted. I mean, it was the greatest feeling I've ever felt in horse racing. I'd never have felt that again.
Tears are coming to my eyes. I just can't believe it. You know, she is, what a great, great filly, huh? She's just don't see it special. They cheer for her, they clap for her, and she does a little dance for them. I mean, what a relationship.
She's horse of the decade. One of the greatest horses of all time, believe me.
The sound coming from the grandstand, I'd never heard anything like that before.
It was like a wave of cheers going all the way down the grandstand. I had tears running down my cheeks. I looked around and everybody had tears running down their cheek.
The greatest moment in the history of the Breeders' Cup.
To be a part of Zenyatta, you were certainly being a part of greatness. So I was just so blessed that I was her pilot.
Superstar came in, she dominated. It was something to see, something you always remember when you see a horse like that.
When they started running these 300 years ago, this is what they had in mind.
Well, that'll do it for 30-1, the greatest moments in Breeders' Cup history, presented by the Daily Racing Form. Be sure to tune in to NBCSN's coverage of the Breeders' Cup on NBC. For everyone here at NBC, I'm Lafitte Pinkai.